All right, back here with Bill Reiter. I want to take you back to the final 24 seconds. Devin Booker into the paint. It's a one-point game. No timeout is called. Turnover, bucket.
It's the game and it's the series, and two things happened at once. The Suns did what they did all game. We were talking about this, a little bit of panic, not much of a plan in these stressful moments. Monty Williams letting his guys do their thing, and on the other side, Milwaukee calm, executed their offense. Drew Holiday comes up with a huge steal on that play. Later on, a few moments later, Giannis misses a free throw. It's Drew Holiday who tips it backwards to keep the possession alive. The ball game came down to those 15, 20, 30 seconds. Milwaukee executed, Suns didn't.
How about Drew Holiday?
Wow.
I mean, the moment there to get the steal, the alley-oop to Giannis, but he had 13 points in all of Game 4, and he goes for 27 points, 13 assists. What did you see from him in Game 5?
I saw Drew Holiday and a team following Drew Holiday and Giannis and Chris Middleton who were able to handle the moment, frankly, in a way that the Suns were not. You look at the numbers. The Suns shot 55% from the field, made 62% of their threes. They out-rebounded Milwaukee. They had fewer turnovers. They made more free throws. That's supposed to be a victory anywhere, especially at home, but it was the big shots at the end of the game from Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday with the big turnover, Giannis with those huge moments athletically that got his team fired up. The fact of the matter is the Bucks and those three guys, Holiday leading the way at the end, were able to seize this opportunity to play like champions. And the Suns, as well as they played throughout most of the game, they wilted at the end.
Well, we always talk about role players playing better at home. And I'm not saying that Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are role players, but when you're following Giannis, they combine for 56. I mean, this is the pickup that a road team has needed this entire series, and they get it from Middleton and Holiday when they need it the most.
Yeah, this absolutely reinforces the vision that John Horst, the GM of Milwaukee, had and said to me months ago when I a little bit questioned the idea that he had three superstars, and GMs will do this, they'll sort of push back, but he meant it, he said it, turned out he was right. Drew Holiday, a star, Chris Middleton, a star, when paired, as his front office in Milwaukee believed would be the case, with Giannis. We didn't see it, Akeem, throughout a lot of these finals, but we saw it in the biggest game and the biggest moments of this season.
Giannis was not great from the free throw line, 4 of 11. I mean, they could have lost that game based on what happened at the end of game with his free throw shooting. How did he impact this game aside from the free throw line?
Yeah, you can look at it two ways because Giannis is going to miss free throws. That's part of the deal, but it's also true that you're right. The Suns did not capitalize. Giannis was still a go-to scorer when they needed him to be, was a dangerous threat again and again, was incredible defensively. And you mentioned the alley-oop at the end of the game. That's a play where a lot of times a team at that position, you're up 1, the clock is ticking away. I think about 16 seconds left. Drew Holiday could have just held the ball, but Giannis points to the sky, says, "Get me the rock," because they know their MVP is going to go up, he's going to get it, he's going to deliver. Literally does that in that moment at the end that, looking back, helps seal the deal, and maybe we'll find out going forward, maybe the series.
All right, so from a Suns perspective here, Devin Booker, back-to-back 40-point games, but doesn't call a timeout there at the end, and it's all for naught, unfortunately, because as they walk away, now they got to go back to Milwaukee for Game 6. Devin Booker was great, but not good enough.
Yeah, look, this is a situation where the final score is the final score, and you have to live with that. It's not on Devin Booker. He had 2 turnovers in this game. One was the critical one. He needs to have his teammates yelling out. Drew Holiday's behind him. And more to the point, Monty Williams had a single timeout left. You use it there. We've seen this a few times in this postseason where the Suns have the ball with the timeout at the end of the game. They don't call it. It hasn't always worked. Devin Booker's got to be better, but he's got to be put in a situation to succeed. You're literally talking about the weight of the entire season bearing down on you when Drew Holiday comes and maybe rips that season away.
As for the other Sun star, Chris Paul, he played his worst game of the NBA Finals in Game 4, scoring just 10 points. In Game 5, he was much better, 21 points, 11 assists. What do the Suns need from him to win 2 straight games here?
It's hard for me to answer that because they got everything that they needed except execution at the end. You talk about an efficient team. You talk about the fact Chris Paul had a huge, huge impact on the game at the end. The shot over Giannis where he made that little move, that little step away. So it's going to be an intangible, and it may seem unfair, but I'm going to put this on Chris Paul. You have to calm your team and give your team a sense of confidence in those moments the way that the Bucks had it. You and I talked about this at the end of the game with the game on the line. Milwaukee was not rushing. They were still running their offense. When they got up and went, when they were hurrying up, like that alley-oop to Giannis, they executed. And there was some panic from Phoenix. You saw some nerves from Phoenix. Chris Paul's the leader. He's got to, away from the cameras, to these guys, say, we can do this. calm down. He needs to be the leader that Giannis certainly was for the Bucks.
Is that the result? Is that necessarily, you could point to that, say, the late game execution and the leadership was what decided this for Milwaukee?
Absolutely. Look, it's in the margins. If the ball doesn't get ripped away from Devin Booker, we might be having a very different conversation. But championships get decided in the gray areas and in the close calls. And if Monty Williams can't call that timeout, you have to have Chris Paul out there as the floor general making sure things run the right way. It's not just a single play, even though that Devin Booker play is going to stick with the Suns for a long time. And I'll say this, Chris Paul was great. He has not had a history of his teams closing. Certainly in the past, there's been a lot of the fault, I think, rightly attributed to Chris Paul's leadership. Maybe that's not the case here, but you've got to actually show it by helping your team just take a breath and at the end of these games, come out on top.
I mean, right now, we're looking at a potential collapse here. I mean, the Suns were up 2-0 in the series, and now they've lost 3 in a row. Do we have a Game 7? Do we think the Suns are going to force a Game 7, or does Milwaukee wrap this up at home in the Deer District? Game 6, it's Bucks in 6.
Good news for the Suns. I haven't been right in a couple games. I keep believing in them. So now that I think it's Milwaukee, maybe the Suns will extend it. But this is a Bucks team that's only lost one time in Milwaukee at home. That confidence we talked about, that sense they can do it. You and I saw this. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their play. There's a level of belief for all of these guys. And Chris Middleton and now Drew Holiday's come along for the ride, have actually tapped into that level of confidence and belief that has translated to excellence in the postseason that we saw in the regular season but was inconsistent until the last couple of games. The fact that they're hitting on all cylinders, that they're going back to Milwaukee, that they believe that Giannis is playing like this, I think it bodes pretty well for the Bucks.
All right, Bucks in 6. At least that's what it looks like. So you're Mike Budenholzer, and you're in a situation where you're 1 win away from the franchise's first title in 50 years. Everything's in your favor. You're going back home. Giannis was great in Game 5. Chris Middleton great in Game 5. Drew Holiday great in Game 5. What's the message as you head into Game 6?
We're the best team in the world. Nobody believes in us. Don't change a thing. We're going to win this thing. Believe in each other and execute. I mean, you might that's the speech right now, maybe the plane ride home. When you actually look at tape tomorrow, you might show some defensive efficiencies that allowed the Suns to make almost 2/3 of their three-point shots and more than half of their field goal shots, but their shots from the field. But I think the most part, the answer is, guys, we're the best team. We're a game away. Change nothing. Let's go get it.
What does Monty Williams then say? Because we've heard him lift up his guys, support his guys when they've been down. We've seen him talking to DeAndre Ayton on the sideline, trying to coach them up. Now they're down 3-2. They're in a must-win situation or the season's over.
I mean, if I'm Monty Williams and I'm looking at what I'm looking at here, we were better rebounding-wise. We turned the ball over less. We made more free throws. We were efficient. The answer is defense. We are a great defensive team, and too many times Chris Middleton's getting in rhythm and hitting easy shots. Too many times Giannis is getting easy buckets. Too many times Drew Holiday is getting easy looks. I want more defensive energy, and I want to say to these guys, if we're going down, let's make it difficult physically on this team. No more easy looks for the Milwaukee Bucks.
All right, well, Giannis preached living in the moment, and for the moment, they have a 3-2 series lead. 1 win away from their first NBA title in 50 years. Bill Reiter breaking down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Bill, thank you. And what a wild first half it was and a wild finish indeed. It was 37-21 in the first quarter in favor of the Suns. And then Milwaukee just unloaded, scoring 43 points in the second quarter as they outscored the Suns 43-24 in the second quarter. The Suns were incredible from the floor in the first quarter, 74%, and then it was a tale of 2 quarters, and it led to a 3-point halftime lead for the Bucks. They go on to win 123-119 again, now 1 win away from their first NBA title in half a century.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.